Everybody. I'm Tom Frank, Chair. Are you recording it now?
Yes, the recording has started.
Recording
It's
has started.
10:02.
Okay, so everybody knows that uh, the this is being recorded and will be posted. So anyway, my name's Tom Frank. I'm the chair, and let's go around. I'll say Bruce. Why don't you go, Bruce? Introduce yourself.
First of all, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I'm Bruce Post. For those who haven't been on before, I'm from Essex, Vermont. I've been on the board 12 years. My last year, I'm sort of just a placeholder because my formal terms have expired last year at the end of February. And if I'm replaced, I'm willing to get off. There you go.
And he's past chair. So, Linda.
Yes, I'm Linda Sarnioki. I'm in Weston. I am on the board of the local library and have been on the Vermont Board of Libraries for 3 or 4 years now, I think.
Oh, very good. Adrian. See, Adrian is over there. Probably muted.
Oh, I think you're muted, Adrian.
Adrian's not muted, but we can't hear Adrian
She
all
might
of a
be
sudden.
away. Let's see.
But Adrian's there, but
Okay.
not audible.
Maybe your phone, I mean, your headset might be separately muted. I don't know.
Or she might have run away and come back up. And Deb?
Hi, I'm Deb Granquist. I also live in Weston and I serve on my local Weston board, library board. And I, like Bruce, I'm sort of off this board, but we're waiting for new members to come on. So I'm delighted to be able to still participate.
Okay. And by the way, James Saunders is unable to attend today. And Maxie should be on before too long. Okay. Did I miss anybody? I didn't miss anybody, didn't I? No.
Would you like the folks who are here from the department to?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So my name's Catherine Delnau. I'm the secretary to the Board of Libraries. I'm a non-voting member and here to support you. And here to support me in being the secretary, I'll hand it over to Gina, our new executive staff assistant for the department who began working with us in December. Gina, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. It's nice to meet you all. This is, my 4th week here, so learning a lot. But happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Gina. We also have another new staff member. Her name is Lily Talbert, and Lily is joining us just for the beginning. I know she's super busy, but wanted to say hi to everyone. So Lily, can you introduce yourself? Lily also started just last month.
Morning, everyone. I'm Lily Talbert. I'm from Cabot. I'm a former trustee from the Cabot Public Library, and I'm coming to the department from about 21 years at the Vermont Commission on Women in Communications, and I'm the Communications and Administrative Coordinator for the department. And so lovely to meet you all.
Okay. April's
Lily.
on, right?
And if anyone has questions.
And April's on and Josh is on, I would assume.
Yeah, if I can just share quickly regarding Lily, you might remember that JJ was the administrative assistant in an administrative capacity in Jeanette's team. Lily's position is an upgraded, expanded communications role version of that position. So that's where she sits within our team.
Okay.
Speaking of Jeanette Schaefer's here.
Oh.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Jeanette.
And I'm so glad Lily and Gina are both here and on staff now.
Me too.
And so are we, yes. And by the way, Kathy didn't mention that she is the state librarian and the commissioner, the library commissioner.
I am. Sorry, I sometimes forget to do a thorough introduction. Assistant State Librarian Tom McMurdo is not here yet, but he does plan to join when another meeting he's in completes.
Okay.
I had mentioned that we have April Shaw her attendance is under the Vermont Library Conference Room. And April, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
There you go.
April
And-
is our Cracker Jack government services reference librarian, and you all know her from the great work she did supporting the board with geographic names. So happy to have her here today doing tech support. And then we have Josh Muse.
Hi all, and
there you are.
good morning. Thanks for having me.
And Josh is he's our technology consultant at the department and also helps with so many statistical things in his role. And Adrian, we're going to try to get you to see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there
Excellent.
you are. Yeah.
All right, I'm Adrienne Katz. I'm a librarian at St. Johnsbury Athenaeum. So, all right, good. Sound is working.
Oh, yep, sound is working.
Thank you,
now.
Josh. That was a good tip.
Okay. Now, so we have the introductions for everybody. It's the next thing. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Changes to the agenda, 10:05 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Everything's fine on the agenda. We're not adding anything or whatever. Okay.
Space. 3. Public comment.
The next thing, are there any public comments other than dealing with Bumblebee Brook? Any members of the public attending yet?
I don't see any hands raised or any additional members of the public here at this time.
Okay, nobody else is on. No members of the public are attending. So we can go on.
Space. 4. Approval of minutes, October 11th.
Approval of the minutes. By the way, I'm curious because the headset I have is supposed to be somewhat noise canceling microphone.
4. Approval of minutes, October 11th.
I'm picking up something.
That's my computer. So I have the agenda, the same email on my computer, so I can go down and it's just saying agenda. Approval of the minutes of the last meeting. So were there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yeah, hi, this is Bruce. I just have, I think, 2 comments.
Actually, and I should say somebody's supposed to ask to approve the minutes.
Okay.
And then I'll,
I will, this is Deb, and I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
okay, any second?
Bruce seconds.
Okay, and then any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yeah, I have just a couple little things. On page 3, second paragraph, it says Bruce expressed glad. So why don't we just say Bruce was glad that the working group was emphasizing diversity. And then I just have a couple questions on page 4. This third graph down, last sentence, somebody said that they shared the petition has the support of the local Abnaki tribe. And I'm confused by that because I doubt there's a local Abnaki tribe in Townsend. So maybe that's something we could discuss another time. It's just an observation. And then on the next to last page under Board of Libraries vacancies, there's at the end of the first paragraph, there's a hanging TH. I have no idea what that means. So there you go.
I have a couple of suggestions as well, a couple of corrections.
Okay.
This is back to page 3. And it's under down at the bottom. Let me find this. Under the section petition to rename Negro Brook. That the first line after that, petitioner Lynn Shea presented her petition in an incomplete sentence there. You see where I am?
Yeah, good catch.
And then in the first paragraph of that, at the end of the first line, there's an extraneous A. Lynn Shea worked with Stephanie Amiot, Witchy, R2, et cetera. It shouldn't say with a Stephanie Amiot. See that?
I'm capturing those corrections and thank you all. We strive to get them out quickly, but you can see that it was a little bit of a struggle. I took the minutes personally and I think alone last time. So I just,
Yes.
I
Well,
made some
yeah.
errors and I
You did
really
it.
appreciate the corrections. We will absolutely make all of these. These are great.
You did a great job, Kathy. And
Oh,
it's,
thank you.
and Bruce and I are just painstakingly anal about this. And I just have one other thing. I don't know if select board is one word or 2 words. I meant to look it up and I didn't. But throughout, you have references to select board as 1 word, and I think it's 2.
I believe it's 2 as well.
Really? Well, I was on
I
a
think-
select. I was on a select board, and I think we always refer to it as a singular select board.
Ah.
I don't know how it's done other places, but that's been my experience.
Okay.
I'm looking online. Maxie has just joined us.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Maxie.
Maxie.
Morning.
I'm looking online right now at the Vermont statutes online, and I've just put a link into the chat. Title 24, Appendix Municipal Charters. This is just one town of Williston is what came up, but select board in that case was 1 word.
Okay.
It may
So-
depend on the town, actually. I think in Weston it's 2 words, but it could very well depend on the town. So.
So we might
And-
want to, why
And I'll ask
don't
the
we,
absolute expert here.
why don't we confirm what they're called? For the minutes, what we'll do is we'll confirm how the local select board is named in Townsend.
Yes, good idea.
Google spells it as 1 word.
According to the
Google,
Townsend website, they are putting 2 words. Townsend, Vermont Select Space Board. So we will amend the minutes to have two words.
Based on how they spell it. So there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Google spells it as 1 word, no space. But that's probably, and once probably the big dictionary will say optional or something like that. Oh,
I've just admitted Jennifer
Jennifer.
Runyon to the meeting.
Yep, and she's with the board in down there in I think you're in Reston, aren't you, Jennifer? I think. Or geographic naming. Okay, so Jennifer's here with us. Okay. So are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, all in favor of approving the minutes with those corrections signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed unanimously.
4. Approval of minutes October space. Possible action to approve minutes Board of Library
Okay.
explanatory document. October 11, 2022 link. HTTPS
Let me get-
space. B. Petition to name unnamed brook in Shelburne. BT petition to name unnamed
Okay,
brook in
name
Shelburne.
unnamed brook. Okay, do we have any other business we should take before, we can start earlier with Bumblebee Brook, but are there any other things we need to deal with before introductions? Oh, Maxie, you came on, so if you could introduce yourself.
Oh, I have to clear my throat. I haven't talked to anybody this morning. Maxie Ewens, Charlotte, former librarian of the Fletcher Free Library, and lots of other things that I can't get into right now.
Okay,
Hi, this is Bruce.
yes.
If Jenny's on, just a quick question based on the minutes. There's a section said the board concurred that the new name Huzzy Brook be put on USBGN's upcoming quarterly review list. Jennifer Runyon said that if the petition receives any feedback on the new name, they'll inform the Board of Libraries and provide an opportunity to respond. So I'm just wondering, was it put on the list? Was there any feedback? That's all. Hi, Jenny. It's
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Good morning, Bruce. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, apologies for late dropping on. I've got a brand new laptop, of course, technical issues. And yes, Huzzy Brook was added to our last quarterly review list, which basically gives folks an opportunity to comment, including 60 days for any tribal input. None was received. The 60 days is just passed. I think it's yesterday, I think. I let Kathy know that unfortunately we got caught up with other issues and weren't able to add it to our January 12th docket, 2 days from now. We've had to cancel our February meeting due to a schedule conflict, but it will be on our March 9th docket for the final BGN vote. And again, to date, no feedback has been received, so I don't foresee any issues. So sorry for the little delay here, but it'll be on our March 9th docket.
Hey, thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And it was spelled H-U-Z-Z-Y, right?
Right.
And it was just interesting that it's like when you drive a Chevy, you see all the Chevys on the road, or my son sees all the Tesla 3s on the road, obnoxiously so. But and then I saw H-U-Z-Z-E-Y in another place. So I've noticed the name now several places. So picking up where I hadn't heard before.
Yeah, that's very true, isn't it? Though, when you're out traveling about and you see a place name, and in my case, oh, the BGN voted on that 15 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
My poor family gets tired of hearing toponymic tales.
Yes, we did that. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I ever do that one. Yeah.
Or I can't believe that
Okay.
name is on the sign.
Okay. So if we don't have anything else, if Joplin is ready, we could start a little bit early.
Joplin is here. Joplin, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I'm here and I see you.
Okay, welcome, Joplin. And if you could pronounce your last name, how do you? Wister?
My last name is Wister, named after Caspar Wister, who was a colleague of Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. He was a botanist that Wisteria is named after.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's
Interesting.
And,
morning, Joplin.
and hello, Maxie.
Good morning.
I just want to introduce you to the Tree Wild kids who are with me today. Can you see them? This is our group, and we're actually walking along Bumblebee Brook right now, and we're headed to our favorite spot down further. And if there's time, some of them would love to contribute to telling you a little bit about Bumblebee Brook.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
But I also have to show you this really cool ice formation we just found here. Look at this. Can you see that? It's just along the stream here where the water splashed.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So how do we proceed?
Okay. We just have you have submitted a petition to name this brook that you're walking alongside, Bumblebee Brook. And it was just if you could explain why you chose that name and basically a summary of your petition. And just so you know, it seems like a great ordeal, but remember, the name that is chosen, especially for an unnamed stream, this is going to go, as you heard Jennifer Runyon from Washington, with the Board of Geographic Naming. We submit it, you do it, if we prove the name, then we give it to them down there, and they put it on their agenda, and that will be every map in the country. If you see, new Rand McNally maps, all of the ones for the GPS, everything else. So that's why it's a little bit more of a process than you may think, because this is determining the names on the maps across the entire country. That's where everybody else that makes maps goes to get the names. So that's why we take, excruciating pains to get it right. Okay.
I do appreciate how seriously you take it. It was a little amusing how long the process has been. I was not expecting that, but I do respect and appreciate that you take the process seriously. Okay, so Bumblebee Brook. So let me, since it started on the of our Tree Wild program, we run a forest classroom where kids come and spend the day outside all day, all throughout the year. And we go on different hikes through the woods in different directions, north and south and east and west. But one of our favorite walks is along the La Platte River in Shelburne. And there's a particular stream that we like to follow because it drains 7 ponds that we also spend time at. And these 7 ponds collect together, and the water drains down into the La Platte River. And we realized that this stream did not have a name. So the kids were starting to brainstorm about, well, what should we call it? And they came up with all sorts of fun and clever names. So it was a difficult choice, but we just started because someone saw a bumblebee, and there was also some milkweed growing along. We considered milkweed stream, and I'm trying to remember all the different ones we considered. But anyway, we finally decided we would call it Bumblebee Brook, and we started telling neighbors and other people around, and then we were curious, well, what do we do to actually make it a formal, agreed upon name, and discovered that we had to submit a proposal. So we did that, and went around to all the adjoining neighbors, and along with the kids, all signed the petition. And some of the kids went to the select board and presented their proposal, and they seemed glad not to have to deal with anything controversial that night. So they were very pleased with the suggestion. And we also have some new trails. I'm also on the Shelburne Bike and Pedestrian Paths Committee, so we look after the trails for the nature area, and we have a new trail that intersects or crosses Bumblebee Brook. So it's a stream that formerly not many people were aware of, but now with this new trail and a new bridge that goes across the stream, a lot more people are aware of it now. So it seemed especially fitting that it had a name.
Okay, you said the Bumblebee water, in your petition, you said the Bumblebee watershed. So I assume that's what you will call it once the name gets approved, right? So it isn't, which dealing with the 7 or what you said, 10 ponds, 7 ponds?
Seven ponds. Some of them
7
are
ponds.
natural. There's a fire pond that was built by the town, and there's 3 of them are earthen dams. 40 years ago, and then a couple beaver ponds in between.
Okay. Okay, so questions from the board?
Yeah, this is Bruce. Did you said you went before the select board? The students went before the select board. Did the select board act? Did they support it? We do like, it's not required, but we do like to see that there's been an attempt to reach out to either local historical societies or municipal bodies to see if they've been consulted and have any buy-in, thing like that.
So yes, the select board did approve it, and I think you have a letter from our town manager, Lee Crum, in the proposal. There is a historical committee, but I did not contact them.
That's all right. As long, I mean, you went to the select board and if the select board has taken a vote, that's good for me.
Yeah.
Kathy? Yeah, sorry.
Do we
Yeah,
have that letter, Kathy?
I do not have that letter, Jocelyn. I had emailed you back in December because, it's not a requirement that the application for the application to be complete, it doesn't require that letter, but you had noted that there was, that in 14B of the application, that a federal, state, or local, municipal, or county agency and governing body had offered support for the petition, but somehow we don't have that letter from the select board in the application materials at this time. So that would be something that would help the application to have that letter on file.
Okay, well,
sense.
Yeah, he definitely sent it. He sent a copy to me, and he also on your on Catherine's email reminder that went to him. He responded.
Google password required.
Okay, then I have a second question, Tom, if I can ask.
Yeah. Okay. Go.
So I was glad you're out there because I'd love to see the brook, but I can't see it right now. But I had trouble visualizing it. How does it? Is there a culvert that takes it? Is it Thompson Drive or Thompson Road into the Aspen Drive neighborhood? It looks like there's a wetland there. So I was just wondering how it crosses the road.
Okay, I'll do that. Let me first. I am on my cell phone, so it's a little tricky. But let me see if this works visually to see the brook where we are now.
Oh, cool.
Can you see that?
Yep.
So we stopped here where kids are just having a little snack. This is one of our favorite spots along the brook. It's actually just a few hundred feet from where it's going to the Platte River. And I mentioned about the new trail that comes through here. This is the bridge. Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The piece of land that was acquired by the town. So we got access through a development that was put in off of Harbor Road. I mean, off of Irish Hill Road, Polk Road, so that now people can La Platte Nature Park.
I'm
so-
sorry to interrupt. I want to be sure that to let you know something. We have just located an email. It was sent on February 23rd, 2022, and it came from Lee Crone.
Yes.
lcrone@shelburnevermont.org. Thankfully, April Shaw had that in her files. That was from right when I began at the department and may have overlooked it. It didn't make it into the file, but if it's okay with you all, I can share my screen so that it can enter into the record and then we'll add it to the PDF. Is that okay to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. So I think maybe what I'll do is read it so that you can all hear what it says. It was from Lee Crone. It was sent on February 23rd, Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022 at 10:04 a.m. April Shaw received it. Joplin Wister was CC'd, and the subject is Bumblebee Brook. Good morning, April. Last evening, the Shelburne Select Board heard a presentation and request by school children to name a brook here in our community. The proposed name, Bumblebee Brook, was endorsed unanimously and enthusiastically by the Select Board. I hope you find this information helpful. Signed by Lee Crone, AICP, Town Manager, Town of Shelburne, Vermont, and then Lee's phone number and email address. Joplin, I'm very sorry that that didn't make it into the file, and I appreciate your mentioning it. And April, I appreciate your finding it. So thank you for your patience with that.
Thank you very much, because that was a concern that we had, but you did have, obviously, from the very, very beginning. Okay. And, okay, anything else, Bruce?
Maxie's got a hand up.
Oh, yeah, somebody has their hand up, yeah.
I would like to congratulate my friend Joplin. And I think they're just great to be out there in this really freezing weather. It's 23 degrees right now, and they're bundled up. And Joplin is not only a friend, but also I want to emphasize that he's done amazing work throughout his career for the environment. He's built bridges, he's created paths, he is unswerving in his commitment. And I just love the idea of Bumblebee Brook, because bumblebees are, 250 kinds of bumblebees that pollinate and keep our flora and fauna presumably alive. So I think this is just great.
I'd like to add too, I'm glad that the students were involved in the process. A couple of years ago, we had to rename a book award, and we had statewide involvement by students in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade range. I don't know if I've got that right, Jeanette, but they submitted suggestions. We had 3 students on our committee reviewing it. We ended up with the Golden Dome Book Award, and it was a wonderful opportunity for the students to be involved in what seems like a bureaucratic process that's far away in the state capitol. And I really like I like the fact that you've involved your students here, and I really like seeing the brook and that it's flowing. So thank you very much.
Okay, I have one. Oh, sorry. Go.
This is Linda. I have a couple of comments. One, I agree how wonderful it is to have the children involved in this project to name the brook. And I especially liked in your petition your description of the willful trickle that the brook becomes in the summertime. I thought that was a delightful description. I do have just a comment to maybe Kathy, to you or your staff. The PDF that I got has this petition about 4 times. It's the same pages again and again and again in the PDF, and I that I don't know, maybe it should have been looked at before it actually got sent out. But and I wonder if Joplin, if you could say how you collected the signatures that you have. We don't have the signatures, we just know that there were signatures on your petition, and I wonder how you collected those.
Well, it was sort of a lengthy process because we had to go through it 3 times.
Oh.
We had the names. My understanding was that they didn't actually need the signatures, and then we told that we needed the signatures, but electronic signatures would be okay. So we did it again with electronic signatures. And then I guess there were many months passed, and then things changed, and we were then told that we had to have written signatures. So we had to go back and collect them again. But basically, it's a collection of some neighbors that we went to, and the students of Treewild, and then other town that were interested in the process.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry it was so frustrating for you, but I appreciate your efforts to get those signatures. So thank you.
I'm just walking downstream. You can see here where here's Bumblebee Brook and where it enters the La Platte River at the Shelburne Falls.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a wonderful spot.
Okay, we have a couple other hands raised. Yep.
My hand is raised. This is Kathy Delnau, the state librarian, to explain the petition and why it's repetitive. As Joplin was sharing, Joplin submitted an initial petition on the old petition form, and that was submitted quite a long time back. And when the board updated its petition process and application. Joplin then, we contacted Joplin and we asked him to submit on the new form. So the original submission was actually from, gosh, 2 years ago, pretty much, 1/15/2021. So the scanned document, while it does include some of the same materials, our team in the department felt it was important to include both the current application and the original petition. And I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, April Shaw helped to transfer some of the information over to make it a little bit simpler for Mr. Wister as the petitioner, given that the board updated its application and procedures during that. And one of the things that the board talked about at the time was that at the time of changing the process was that in Vermont, it's really important that the original signatures be there. And since the petition is done by the petitioner, not overseen by the department or the board, and we don't have a system for online signatures, that was why the board continues to require hand signatures. I want to share that we do have the hand signatures here and that they are available for examination. And now that I know that small children signed the petition, I'm suddenly understanding some of the signatures a little bit better because I could see child handwriting, which is fun to see. There are 41 signatures on the petition. My understanding, Vermont statute doesn't address how old a petitioner needs to be. And so all of the petition signatures are valid signatures from what I know of the law. So I just wanted to share that. I understand it is a little bit repetitive and you start feeling a little bit loopy, but I think this is both petitions and I think it's 27 pages and I think this is kind of the full thing. But we will definitely double check to make sure we aren't looping and presenting the same thing in the PDF.
Okay, are there another hand raised?
Yeah, it's Bruce. No, I got a little confused initially too, until I went to the end and saw that he had submitted something back in early 21. So I figured what I was we were getting, well, there was some repetitive nature. That's the reason why. And I understood too that the petitioner evolved in terms of their knowledge of the process. So thanks for that.
I think Linda's hand is still up, Tom.
Oh, okay, Linda?
I'm sorry, my hand is just still up. It should not be. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay. And I was going to say, I'll apologize to you, Joplin, because the board has been going through, we've been trying to update for a while. And with Kathy, our new state librarian, she is very good on, let's say, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and making sure everything is according to the statute and everything. So when we revised our policies and procedures, we made sure and tried to clarify it. And unfortunately, you got caught right in the middle of this. So apologize for you being a guinea pig and put you through a lot of hoops that you probably said, why is this? And once again, because as I explained at the beginning, it's very important that once the name is chosen, it has a lot of it's out there for a long time. So that's why we have to be very careful.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't submit pig farm, Brooke. I noticed you mentioned the pig farm in there, so that's funny.
Yeah.
Road, there used to be a pig farm here, and it's also the town dump was along here.
I was just going to say, there's a dump road. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? I'll have one left. And that's, did you check with the Abenaki or any, historically, they named anything for this brook? Any other names that people have been using?
We did not find any information on that.
Did you search?
A little bit, but I had never actually contacted any Abenaki to ask.
And, can I weigh in on that a bit too?
Yes, please, Bruce.
Yeah, I have a bit of difficulty because who speaks for the Abenaki? And I've seen NPR or VPR did a story recently on the fact that they put a sub-name on a pond, I think down in southern Vermont, I'm not sure, that's a state park. And, I got some feedback about it. And I've seen that there was, in the story, there was this discussion and the Abenaki, there were several bands of Abenaki. They were nomadic people in Vermont, largely, as I understand it. In northern New England, indigenous people were much more nomadic than the settled tribes of southern New England. So this is where do we make it explicit now that you have to reach out? And I think this is something the board may want to discuss in the future, was who really who's an official representative. That's a problem I have. Thanks.
I'll say by the law it does not require. That's why we were just saying there. My understanding also is that most the native tribes, once again, do not really name things, because when you name something, that means you have control or ownership, and there was no ownership. Or if they had named it, it might have been something like go up to the big falls and go up the stream coming in from the left or something along that line. That's what they would give directions versus naming it this brook or that brook. It's just a description of it. By the way, I love bumblebee because not only all those bumblebees, but they are endangered. And hey, you might be able to put some little signs up there and talking about the bumblebees in Vermont as well, since you're the nature guy, because they are endangered, and as are all the pollinators and the insects.
It'd be a wonderful project for the kids to work on too. So I think we'll do that.
Okay, are there any other?
I have some information just to share what the board's procedures share. In my role as secretary, I've been shuffling through papers here. And I've put the link to the current geographic names procedure revisions, which were adopted by the board in August of 2022. On the second page, it says, because local use and acceptance of a name is important, the board strongly encourages the petitioner to include written support for the proposal with the petition. Written support of the proposal may be solicited from federal, state, or local municipal or county agencies and governing bodies, Native American tribes, civic organizations, historical societies, libraries, owners of the property on which the geographic feature is located, and others familiar with the geographic feature and the appropriateness of the proposal. With regards to the naming, what we would do in the Vermont Department of Libraries is we would recommend people reach out to the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs. Those folks on the Vermont Commission are charged by law to recognize the historic and cultural contributions of Native Americans in Vermont, to protect and strengthen Native American heritage, and to address needs in state policy programs and actions. They would be able to point folks toward relevant groups who were in the region. There are 4 recognized Native American tribes in the state of Vermont. My recollection is that we did have a letter of support from one of the tribes or one of the bands for the recent Huzzy Brook naming. So a letter of support either from the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs itself or from one of the 4 tribes would probably be what that would refer to. And there are websites that are available to link people with the various Abenaki tribes, the Elnu, the Nulhegan, the Coasec, and the Abenaki Nation of Missisquoi. And I put that link in the thread.
Okay.
Okay, Maxie, yeah.
Kathy, it says it may solicit or it shall.
It may.
Yeah.
This is not a
Yeah.
requirement, but the board, my recollection was that the board felt that one way to really focus on local use was to encourage people to show that they had made outreach to those groups. And that is the language from this section was, my recollection of the August meeting is that we had looked at some language from USBGN about local support and that we had adapted it to the state of Vermont.
Okay.
You-
And
you
in that case, Jennifer's on the line there, so I'll ask Jennifer, she could maybe clarify that position. Oh,
Thank you,
my-
Tom.
Shut up,
Thank you,
phone.
Kathy.
Trying to shut my phone up, my computer up. There you, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that link first, Kathy. Appreciate that. The way it works at the federal level is once we receive the packet from the Vermont board, which essentially has been posted to your websites, we can now proceed at the federal level to prepare what we call a case brief, which is essentially a summary of the facts, what's already in the packet there. And then we add each new proposal we receive to a quarterly review list, which is a summary of all the proposals we've received in that previous quarter nationwide. And your timing is good because we're just about to release the latest list. We're a little behind. It should have gone out the end of December, but with the holidays and other priorities, hasn't gone out yet. So we can probably, if it's okay with Kathy, we can go ahead and include Bumblebee Brook on that new review list. And
Well,
then
I think
I'm sorry, please go ahead.
we would wait until the board voted to approve it first.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point. Yeah, if it has not been submitted directly to the federal board, you're right. We'd be jumping the gun by proceeding. So
Right.
it may depend on the timing. So if it doesn't go out this quarter, it will be on the next quarterly review list. And at that point, federal requirements are that we must share all new proposals with all federally recognized tribes. Now, that wouldn't apply in Vermont. I don't believe you have any federally recognized tribes in Vermont. They're all, and we are not expected to consult with state recognized tribes. In fact, we cannot as a federal agency. We're not permitted to consult with state recognized tribes. So that would be that separate Vermont
Okay.
procedure that Kathy covered. So nonetheless, we would share the proposal with all federally recognized tribes and give them 60 days to comment. If no comments are received, then we presume they have no opinion, and the US board can then proceed with its vote. So depending on the timing, 60 days could start potentially, this week, or start 3 months from now, and then the 60 days starts. But again, yeah, we're like you. We don't require tribal outreach. Again, this is again a little bit of a tangent, if I might, just for FYI, I guess. We've just started a new guidance that says that if the proposed name is from a native language or of direct interest to a tribe, we're going to encourage proponents to reach out to the tribal government for their more awareness, guidance, language expertise, whatever it may be. Again, it's not required, but like Kathy said with Vermont, it certainly helps your case. Now, that wouldn't be the case for Bumblebee. I mean, it's not a native word or a direct interest in native tribes, but nonetheless, yeah, we have the tribal requirement at the federal level, but that's going to be independent of what happens with the state requirement or encouragement, I should say. So sorry, long answer there, but hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a hand raised.
Yep, Spurs. Just a bit of background on this. We have named 2 features, if I remember correctly, maybe a third, but that was in New Hampshire, with Abenaki names. The one was Muskashkeek Brook in Plainfield, which means red spruce, and it's on the shoulders of Spruce Peak in Plainfield. The Conservation Committee in Plainfield did consult, I think, Jenny Brink, who teaches Abenaki language. I don't know if we got involved with others other than that. And then one of Peter Bergstrom's many name proposals down in southeastern Vermont, I think in Brockway Falls, became Sokoke Falls. Sokoke Falls was a band of the Eastern Abenaki, and I think there was some consultation there. We did get hung up on the Pagebrook thing. And that, my recollection of that traces itself back to maybe our first hearing on the Negro Brook change when Jason, then state librarian, asked, well, did you check with the Abenaki people? And they hadn't. I mean, that was a very controversial thing. So that was on the same day we did a Page Brook submission from what's Bakersfield, I think, and we approved it. We approved it. And then somebody said, well, did you check with any Abenaki? And then we revoted it and put it on the table again where it sits, I guess. So over time, maybe the staff may want to think about this because you've got the Vermont Council, as you mentioned, the VCNNA, things like that. But it gets a little confusing, and I'll tip my hand because I'll make a motion soon when you ask for one to approve this and move on.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
I have a question. This is Kathy, not a board member, but just to clarify something. My understanding is that this particular brook is not in a state park. And I want to just be sure of that. Given the new legislation related to state park signs and which are different from geographic names, the state park signs and the geographic names are not the same, but certainly if the board is looking at state park geographic features, then there may be some area where it would be for brevity of name important to consult with the VCNAA, Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs. But my understanding is that this is locally owned parkland. Is that correct, Jocelyn?
It's local.
Most of it is private land. The watershed is on private land. And then the very last part, like the last half mile maybe, is on town property, Shelburne County.
Okay, so it's not state. Okay, yep, go ahead. Yes, ask.
Given that it's partially on, just to get full information for the board before their vote, given that it's partially on private land, is the owner of the property on which the geographic feature is located included? Are they one of the signers of the petition?
Yes, there are several, and I'm pretty sure they're all they certainly are all aware of it, and I'm pretty sure on the final signature page, they were all on it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I apologize. I lost my connection for a couple of minutes there. So if there's something I missed or needed to answer, I can.
We're just dealing the way with yeah. I know that the decision we have to make and trying not to delay anything, but if there's a delay, it would be just a technical one. And so any other members from the board? Bruce is going to make a motion. So Frey makes a motion. Okay, if not, Bruce?
Bruce?
Yeah, hi, this is Bruce. I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the name Bumblebee Brook. And we have the coordinates. Do I have to mention the coordinates in my motion? I don't know. We've got the coordinates in the petition. And so that's my motion that we approve it.
Okay, and I second.
Okay, the motion's been approved and seconded. Any discussions?
I love the alliteration. He mentions it, Bumblebee Brook.
I was saying that this morning, Bumblebee Brook.
It trips right off thank goodness it's not Bumblebee Tuna. You remember that?
Right, yeah.
There was a jingle for that.
And I'll ask Jennifer on this, because we did that with Negro Brook. We withdrew it and then sent it back or whatever. If it got on the quarterly, because I would like to ask Joplin if he could do that and ask on the native just to say. I'm sure there's not going to be any controversy, but in case there is, we can always withdraw it. We could ask Joplin to follow up on that And I'm sure there's not going to be any problems, but yeah.
I would certainly be interested in doing that. Yes.
Okay.
I would recommend for administrative clarity that we not put something on USBGN and then take it off again.
Okay.
That we really have a process where it's a complete decision by the board, because we've had such trouble with that in the past and such confusion. And our process in Vermont, if you look at the final page of the procedure, says the board will recommend to the USBGN that it not make official for use in or on any federal publication any new name or name change for a Vermont geographic feature that has not yet come to the Vermont Board of Libraries for consideration and a decision. And I think that the administrative quagmire, I don't want this to get slowed down because we messed something up behind the scenes, or I don't want it to get accidentally named before it's named in Vermont, which is out of the way that we typically handle that engagement with USBGN. I think it makes it harder for us, but also potentially for Jennifer. She's nodding.
Certainly, yeah, you're right. And there has been a precedent with the Negro Brook case, went back and forth, and we did end up closing that one out and starting over from scratch. I think with the regular communication between us and, obviously, Kathy in particular and April and so forth, it doesn't matter much to us, but I certainly understand the probably preference to make sure all those T's are crossed first. And even though, again, we're already in the middle of January, our next review list will come out hopefully the end of March. So we're not looking at a huge delay. So if you feel that it would be better, we're trying to get back on the track of, March, July, or no, June, whatever the quarterly is. So it wouldn't be a huge delay. It means that at that point, the 60 days would start. So we're looking at April, May. It would be a vote at our June meeting. As opposed to maybe the April meeting. So it's a couple months longer, but as Mr. Joplin has said, after all this time, maybe a couple months. So yeah, we're happy to wait. So thank you, Kathy, for the clarification. We're happy to, I've started a file, I've saved all the material thus far, but until it's gone through all the state review, it's probably best to just hold off a little longer. It's fine with us.
Well, thank you, Jenny. If I can jump in and suggest one thing that the board may wish to do is if Joplin, it sounds like you also see that there may be a benefit to getting that letter of support for the name from the Abnaki community. Before the final decision is made. I'd be happy, our department team would be happy to schedule a special meeting so that we don't have to wait until the next quarterly meeting. There's no need to wait once that document is in hand. We can facilitate a special meeting of the board, and as long as there's a quorum of the board present, then the decision can be made.
I guess if I could jump in with a question, if I might, if it's appropriate, do you ever do like sort of conditional approvals? Sort of approve the name conditional on no other information forthcoming, or does that get a little bit messy?
I think that's a great idea.
I don't think we've ever done it in my tenure, done a conditional approval. So, I mean,
I had thought about that and saying that. I was concerned about the select board. We absolutely have one from the select board if there were two issues, but once again, that would slow it down a little bit. But June, and you can tell everybody, yeah, it'll be June. And we could do it, I think, provisional. And I was wondering that to me would be the best thing on here, because it's just one thing that we need.
Right.
Knows how to go about it, and if it comes back and it's fine, then it's fine, and then that's it.
so somebody has to amend my motion, right?
Can I just before we? Oh, I'm muted. Hold on.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. Nope, you're on.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I've been singing. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
I just want a clarification for Joplin's benefit. So when we say, and this goes back to Bruce's earlier question, who speaks for the Abenaki? So who should Joplin contact? I mean, I must confess, I wouldn't know who to contact.
Good question.
I put some links in the chat and we can share them with Joplin via email. The statute related to the state park signage references the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs. And that body seems like a good one to reach out to. The second link I put, let's see. So I put a cultural resources link. So the vcnaa.vermont.gov/cultural-resources. There are direct links to the 4 tribes that are recognized here in the state. And so they, I believe, have specific areas that are more their zone. And I'm sure that the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs could help to identify which is the appropriate group to write a letter of support. My recollection is that for the Huzzy Brook, it was the Elnu Abenaki tribe that wrote a letter of support, but I might be mistaken. And
Okay,
if that wasn't fruitful, I do know that our, just thinking about, remember last meeting, we had Shalini from the Department of Racial Equity at the state of Vermont. Shalini is in contact with, in close contact with the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs, and I'm sure she would be happy to connect, to provide a reference for who to connect with at each of the tribes. And I would be happy to help to facilitate that for Joplin's petition.
Okay.
Connecting him with them.
That sounds good. And we have 2 more hands up.
I have my hand up. This is Linda. I just want to be sure that my memory of the of past decisions is a little bit vague, and specifically, I guess, the Negro Brook decision. I want to be sure that that we're being consistent in our response. I remember that we wanted the petitioners for Negro Brook to get information, to get support from the Abenaki. And I wondered if there was a second issue that we were asking them to check on, because if it was just that one issue, then it would be a parallel situation to what we have now. And we didn't give Negro Brook or Huzzy Brook provisional certification or provisional approval. We asked them to return again. We tabled it, I believe. So information.
Yeah, and I'll answer that. That we had about 5 or 6 different issues. The name, the Abenaki, no contact with no support from the select board or any. That was, we had numerous issues.
I do remember that there were several issues at one point, and didn't we table it twice? But it doesn't matter if we're feeling that we're consistent, that this is a small issue, then I'm happy to support the Bruce's request for an amendment to his motion.
Yeah, we have 2 more hands up.
Linda's is one of them, so I think she just spoke. I'm going to jump in. I do ask for the minutes. Since the name of the brook is Huzzy Brook, I think it would be best for us to use the current name of that brook in the minutes. And I see some nods about that. And thank you, Linda, for correcting there. I know that the decision was around the earlier name, but we'll do the minutes saying the Huzzy Brook decision or the initial application, because as the secretary, I just want to be sure that you know that that's my inclination, if that's okay with the board.
Hi, this is Bruce weighing in. I look at the minutes for the last meeting when we approved Huzzy Brook, And Lynn Shea said the group had considered using the Abenaki word for brook, not, and but ultimately decided to propose the name Huzzy Brook. She shared that the petition has the support of the local Abenaki tribe, and that's one of the things. I don't know if there's a local Abenaki tribe down there. I mean, that's part of the problem. So we can. I think I would support what Linda's trying to do. And I will say, for the record, I did get an email, which I forwarded to Tom and to Kathy from Judy Dow, who lives here in Essex. I know her, and she's often called on to lecture on Abenaki things. And she was quite upset with the name they selected for, or the sub name, for that state park pond down there too. And it begat a VPR story. So the problem I have is who speaks, and there's debate. There's a debate among people that claim to be Abenaki that, well, no, this, yes. And in the VPR story, they even consulted the Quebec branch of the Odanak tribe, and they're saying these folks in Vermont are just pretend. I mean, it gets controversial, and I think we have to pin that down. But if Linda wants to make a motion to amend my motion and make this contingent, I would certainly support it.
Okay, but what Kathy is saying, she's going by the law that the state had determined for the parks, and saying, so this would we're following tradition. Wouldn't you agree, Kathy? Not tradition, but following basically the legislative directive.
Well, there was the question earlier of, does the Board of Libraries procedure, the geographic names procedure, does it require this? It does not require.
It does not now.
And
it does not.
It was definitely the case that I heard from multiple members of the board individually in response to the past applications that local support was extremely important, and that the question of Abenaki support for naming with the local tribes be considered. And when I brought the proposal forward on the revisions to the geographic names procedure just a couple months ago, the board had decided that it was important to include Native American tribes. I think there was a full recognition that they are not recognized federally, that they would not be consulted by USBGN, and that the only way for input from that community, which has been recognized at the state level and is currently recognized at the state level and has a current state commission, the only way to sort of be sure that they're engaged in the process is for petitioners to connect with them in a way of strengthening their petition. It doesn't, my read of the guidelines, or my read of the procedure, it continues to be that this is not in state statute. It's not required, but the department does have a practice of putting people in touch with Abenaki tribes, the 4 recognized Abenaki tribes.
Okay, so Linda, do you want to make an amendment? A motion to amend the motion?
Sorry. There we go. I'm unmuted. Given what Kathy just said, this is something that we would like, but it's not required. So I guess I'm not sure why we wouldn't just approve this. I'm sorry to make this. This is getting way too complicated for a 1 mile long brook with a lovely name and the enthusiastic support of children in a community. But you know, I guess I do not want to make an amendment. I think we should just approve it.
So I called the question.
Okay,
Deb has.
That takes a vote. I hate to be a stickler, but first of all, it takes 2/3 votes. So all in favor calling the question, say aye.
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 And there we have 6 of us. Did 4 say aye? I think 4 said aye.
So the
Okay.
question of the Abenaki, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think he's calling the question on the motion.
The original
Yes.
motion to approve.
On the original motion, yes. And the
So-
original motion is to approve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I should say, vote, I can count better if I'll say, no, all in favor, against, say no, and I'll say no. I don't know if that,
I don't get it. What are we doing? I'm
okay.
I'm confused.
I'm confused.
Bruce
Can
called
we
the,
call the question
called
and do
the
the vote
question.
again so that everybody knows what they're voting on and so that we can get it in the minutes? Because I'm not clear on what's being voted on.
Bruce had to call the motion, and I said, as the chair, it takes 2/3 vote to simply approve to call the question. And so there are 6 of us, so it has to be 4. So I asked for, but I can't tell how many, so I'll say to count the no's, and I'm 1 no.
No on what?
On.
He doesn't want to
okay,
vote on the motion. He doesn't
on
want.
the original
so
quote.
Wait a minute.
The original motion is simply to approve the name Bumblebee Brook.
Okay. Okay.
Wait a minute. You're not. Oh, wait a second here. You're voting no on calling the question.
Right, which means we can still have more debate.
Okay.
Once you call a question, all discussion stops. And that means you take the vote. But you have to vote 2/3 to call the question. It has to end debate. In other words, it's to end debate. Standard procedure. So we now have to take a vote on the calling the question. Don't worry, I learned that from a town meeting. So. And
So
I
are we
didn't know
voting
how many
again?
voted yes. No, we all, those voted yes. So I'm just finding out how many, because I didn't count. So I'm asking for the no's. If there are 3 no's, we don't call the question. If we have 2, we do. It's a 2/3 to call the question. There's 6 of us. So I voted no. Does anybody else vote no to call the question? Then we will have to call the question. Then we can have continued debate. Or if not, we have to vote on the current motion. Understand?
No.
Okay, so if I move to call the question, if 4 of us voted yes, we end debate and we move to my motion, and that's it. No further debate. We move to the motion to approve. So I know I voted to call the question. I'm a yes. Linda's a yes. Deb's a yes. Maxie's a yes, and I don't know about Adrian, but that's at least 4. So.
And Adrian, or what?
I was with no.
Okay, so there's 4 yeses and 2 no's, 2/3.
Tom, there are only 5 of us.
Oh, there's only 5 of us?
No.
Who's missing? No, there's 6.
There's 6.
Oh, right. I wasn't counting myself. Sorry.
Yeah. No, there's 6. The only one is James is the only one that's
Right. Sorry.
It's not that I could count to 6. I could subtract 1 from 7. That was, yeah. So there's 6 of us. So to call the question, that passed with 2/3 vote. So therefore, we call the question, and now that means there's no more debate, and we vote on
approving.
Bruce's motion was motioned, and let's see, who seconded?
I did.
Okay, Maxie seconded. Okay.
Can I just restate the motion so that we have it clear for the?
Yes.
And I'm gonna try to simplify it, but still, Bruce, I want to be sure that this is a motion to approve the geographic naming petition submitted by Joplin Wister to name Bumblebee Brook in Shelburne, Vermont.
Yeah, to name an unnamed brook in Shelburne, denoted by the coordinates he submitted to name it Bumblebee Brook. That's it.
Thank you.
Yep, no, it is. Okay. You have the motion, okay? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and noes? No, okay, so it passed. Okay,
Okay.
I'm a Libra, and Libras are supposed to be indecisive.
oh, okay. Being
I
very
just want to be
decisive.
sure. I heard a tiny noise, but I think it was just a background noise. That was a unanimous yes
I'll say
for the
unanimous
minutes?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, well, I will take the next steps with this on the department side, which are to put out the letter about the decision to that huge long list of folks, A through Y, and agencies. And if Jennifer's still here, Jennifer will also be in touch about getting this onto the USBGN docket in the future. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. And Joplin, you still there?
Congratulations to Joplin and his school kids.
His mighty band.
Yes,
His
we're
mighty band.
still here.
Okay, now, your school kids want to think, let's see, what time is it anyway? Hey, Google, what time is it?
It's 11:18.
Okay, you got a couple of minutes? Yeah, so we're going to 11, we scheduled from 10:30 to 11:30? Isn't, and now you see Joplin, it's like sausage, you know? The government procedure. So.
Speaking
the
of,
school
hang on a second, hang on. I'm sorry to throw this wrench in the works.
Okay.
I just am realizing that the process, we should have asked for the school children to speak before the board deliberated. The public comment has to be part of the agenda. So if the children, I mean, we heard Joplin. The public, he's the petitioner. The public comment is supposed to be spaced between the deliberation. So there were no other people on the call to comment, so they weren't called on. There were no hands raised at the time.
Yeah, so we can just say, I just like the children to talk.
I have a, oops, I want to say something.
Yeah, go Maxie.
Didn't they all say yay? Could you hear
I
me?
don't, yeah, but he has the children there that want to just talk and just for the regular, not on the petition. I'm sure none of them are going to say no, so I think the kids, hey, they talk this time, they're doing all this, and I think they just should talk. Just as they don't even have to talk on the petition. Just say not added notes on the petition, but just, yeah, the kids that are talking about what a wonderful job the board did or whatever. Okay, if they want to talk, a couple of minutes. Hi.
Hello.
This is Sawyer and River, and maybe I don't know if they want to say what's something you like about Bumblebee Brook. What do you like to do there? Can you? I'm turning around. This is Sawyer. River, do you want to say something about Bumblebee Brook? What's something you like to do there? Did you hear that? Like said, there's a wonderful steep hill that they like to climb on and tumble down around the brook.
Then that will be Tumblebee Brook.
And I think the rest of the group has gotten ahead of me, so they might not be able to
Oh well,
catch up.
that's okay. But you tell them
We
it was
went around
voted.
today earlier, and some of them shared about some of the things they like to do down there. It was great to hear.
Okay, and their signatures are probably on the petition.
They
So
are.
And it would also be difficult because then we're putting it on the listserv and we don't have permission for children's pictures and all of that either. So that might be an issue. So,
Okay.
but anyway. Yeah, so that's fine. Thank you, Joplin.
Yeah, it was wonderful to
For-
see the images
Thank you.
as we discussed.
Well, I'm glad that worked out for us to use the Zoom remotely. That was a little tricky.
Yeah. We
And
were
I didn't
wondering about
getting
that, but that,
my battery would not last in the cold, so I had a little issue with that. I had to dig out my backup battery, but
oh, okay.
right now.
Very good. So, okay.
Thank you, Joplin.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you very
Thank you
much.
very
Joplin.
much. Thank you.
This is
Thank you.
all you're doing.
And thank the kid for us too.
We'll
Kid
do that.
for
Yeah.
us. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay.
I have a little side comment.
Yes.
Since I've known Joplin for a long time, he once walked from Burlington to Montpelier to make a point. I can't recall what kind of point he wanted to make, but it was a day-long enterprise walking from, can you imagine? Walking from Burlington to Montpelier.
Oh.
So
okay.
it's
Okay,
just
since
dedicated.
I'm still here, I have to clarify that because that was not my idea. It was my daughter who was a student
Oh.
at CVU.
Oh.
Oh, she got you to do. Okay.
She wanted to walk to Montpelier and she kept
And
pestering me to
Joplin,
do it.
did you walk barefoot?
Oh no, not that time.
Not that time.
But we did do it somehow. We chose the hottest day of the year. It was like 95 degrees walking on Route 2 up through Middlesex. That was
Oh, yeah.
not the light of the walk, but it was a bit of an adventure.
Who's now at McGill? Yes.
Okay. We're going to the next part, 11:30. Does anybody need to take a little break?
Yeah, I have to go blow my nose.
Okay. So we'll take a, it's 11:24. Let's take a break to 11:30. Okay. So, and the first names could be anybody. So, okay. Kathy, your report.
Thanks, Tom. I shared my state librarian's report to the board yesterday, and I hope some of you have had a chance to read it. It's also posted on the website. Just to quickly review some of the information, we have hired 2 staff in December. You met them both earlier, Lily Talbert in the communications and administrative coordinator role in the library advancement team, and Gina Rubin, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who is our new executive staff assistant right next to me here in the Department of Libraries. Gina is a great person to contact if you need anything from us, if you're trying to reach me. She answers the general line, so you can always connect with her. But I just want to be sure that you know she's here and she's on site pretty much every day. We also said farewell to Tanya Riles in December. Tanya was with the department for a brief time in our governance and management consultant position. And the department's leadership and advancement groups are looking at this position and the best way to post the vacancy. And there's the word I don't know why it's there. I'm crossing it out and we'll edit that document. The working group on the status of libraries in Vermont continues along at quite a clip. We're just gathering lots of information. Our format is typically now that the department staff provide statistical information, data to frame each topic of conversation, both in the state and then within a national context if we can. And then we hear testimony from, or public comment really, from members of the community. We encourage Board of Libraries members to attend these meetings. You could all come at once. Nothing would stop you as long as you don't take action as a board during the meetings. It's a public, open meeting and you're welcome to attend. Please feel free to do that. Tom Frank, if we haven't already reached out to you to ask, I think that we'll be connecting with you to see if you would like to provide testimony, because our upcoming topic is going to be on inclusive services
Right.
and accessibility. And
Yeah,
so
you
when people,
said it was a general thing, so I was going to check with you on that. Yes.
yeah, that meeting, the next meeting is on the 27th of January. And what we're trying to do is to line up a number of folks in the community to share their perspective and to talk about ADA accessibility, to share about accessible resources, and this is accessible for all different folks in the community for whom print books or the standard information on the computer may not be the easiest to use. And then
Which
thinking
I'm
about
always
it,
pushing.
yeah. And in your role on the ABLE Library Board, I think it would be really wonderful to have you present.
Okay,
We
I can do
also,
that. I didn't know if you wanted the written. It looked like it was for written comments,
oh,
but
well,
that's okay. I can definitely be on
yeah.
it.
We would love written comments as well, because then it's easy to quote them in the final report.
Okay.
And we also, I think we need to pick your brain to see if you have any folks that you would recommend on the veterans side of things, because
Okay.
we also want to look at outreach to people who may not be using the library now. So we're trying to get diverse voices in there. Some of our thoughts are maybe trying to get some homeschool youth to be present, to share the opportunity with the Office of Racial Equity to see if they can get the call for public comment out there widely. We want to hear from Vermonters directly, not just from library professionals. And then
I was going to say, homeschooled is the largest school district in Vermont, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it's considered a school district, homeschooled, and it's the largest one in Vermont.
Is it largest in terms of geography because it's the whole state, or it's the number of children?
No, number of children.
Oh, interesting.
No, number of children.
I just wanted to share a quick update, which isn't much of an update from last time, as we've entered the legislative session. I just wanted you to be aware that the budget that we have submitted through the Agency of Administration meets their requirement that we increase funds to the department by no more than 3%. We complied with the budget instructions. We submitted something else asking for more, but that's not the one that's going to be making its way to the legislature. And the governor will deliver his budget address later this month on January 20th. And then finally, we had some great news about our capital projects grant requests. We heard it was just in time for the Christmas holiday for those of us in the department that celebrated, and for all the winter holidays for folks who didn't celebrate Christmas but celebrated other holidays. We heard that our congressionally directed spending request has been approved, which was wonderful, and it was part of the big budget package that just was approved at the end of December at the federal level and has been signed now by President Biden. We are poised to receive $10 million in congressionally directed spending. I am noticing the same typos in my report that you are, and we will fix those and repost. And we will be granting out those funds. The $10 million in congressionally directed spending are specifically targeted for small and rural libraries in Vermont that don't have the funds locally to maintain libraries in their communities and have a high demonstrated need for those resources. Those are separate funds from the 16.4 million that we've talked about in the past, which are funds that the state of Vermont has applied for through the U.S. Treasury. Those U.S. Treasury monies are a pot of money that could be used by libraries or could be accessed potentially by libraries, public libraries that are not small and rural, or also those that are small and rural. So those treasury funds are open to everyone to apply for. We will be using the state's new tool, which helps us to assess equity, diversity, and inclusion needs. The ARPA funds specifically have a tool that the state's developing, and I'm trying to remember right now the name of the tool. But those funds, we do need to take that into consideration, and of course, we want to take that into consideration. But our plan is that to make things simplest for public libraries, it's called the Underserved Community Index, and the state will be publishing that soon. To make things simplest for libraries, our plan is to have one application for both grant opportunities and to evaluate them and give out the funds that are appropriate to the specific programs to try to ensure that we reach as many libraries as we can with the funds, and that the process is as simple as possible. I've been going out on the road with Assistant State Librarian Tom McMurdo and a bunch of folks from throughout the state to some ARPA resource sharing community meetings in different counties. And we were up in the Northeast Kingdom, then we were down in Rutland and Bennington counties, and in a couple of weeks we'll be in Orange County, really trying to make sure people in those communities know what funds are available to them from the state and apply for them, because the funds, we want to ensure better distribution, particularly of the ARPA fund money. So our plan is to develop this combined application, to have one grant period open, and to get these monies out there into the hands of public libraries throughout the state. Both municipal and incorporated libraries will be eligible for these funds.
I have a question. Tom?
Yeah, Bruce?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, on the $10 million of congressionally directed funding, you said it would be, your notes, your report says it made available to our state's small rural public libraries. So how do you determine that? And the reason I'm asking that, Kathy, is I read the minutes for December for the working group, and you sent instructions to the consultant about the survey, I guess they'll be doing, or questionnaire, and you have a category that said rural/urban setting, urban being libraries located in a municipal center of greater than 25,000 people, which I don't understand, because there's only one municipality in the state greater than 25,000 people, and that's Burlington. Yeah. So I'm wondering how this shakes out. And then my other question, did Burlington, South Hero, and Randolph actually get a direct appropriation for their project? So they somehow influenced Senator Leahy. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so Senator Leahy and Senator Sanders, the two of them, I think that the Worthen Library in South Hero was through Senator Sanders' office, that he submitted a CDS request for them. And I think that the Kimball Library in Randolph and the Fletcher Free Library in Burlington both went through Senator Leahy's office. But those are direct. We will not be administering those funds. Those funds are in addition to the 10 million. And Bruce, you have a great question. And in the survey, I was using some language from the draft, was using some language from the small and rural libraries grants that were available through other agencies. Then maybe a day after we had our working group meeting. So this was a question, do we really want to keep that number? I think is something we need to evaluate as a working group. And then driving along, listening to Vermont Public on the radio, still stumbling over the name change. I heard a story while I was driving back from a doctor's appointment, and I was like, wait a second, what? Like the federal government just changed the definition of rural. So we want to be sure that we're aligned with these are federal funds, so we'll work to identify what the current definition is and have it align. For the purposes of these grants, there are sometimes questions that we get in the department about, well, if this is for rural communities, we're in a more urban setting, but we serve some rural communities. The thinking in the department currently, and this is still being developed, but the thinking in the department currently is that the location of the library itself is, if it's in an urban center, a more urban center in Vermont, so let's say Rutland or Brattleboro or Bennington, that the location of St. Johnsbury, Burlington, the library itself is in an urban spot by our Vermont context. And that's what we would ask about is on the application is where is the actual physical library? Because often those libraries are larger and they have different funding sources. So we're trying to look at the needs. We're trying to have our plan not be kind of a cookie cutter plan. We're trying to have it be more like what are the actual needs in the different communities. And the urban versus rural is one of many elements of a rubric that we would be developing. So like Winooski would be an urban library, and it would also be a library with a high ethnic diversity with the state's new index that is putting out the underserved community index. Does that answer it a little bit?
Well,
Numbers still to be defined
yeah,
for that and also for this
when you're
program.
distributing money,
Mhm.
people are going to want to say, well, wait a minute, where's the cutting line? For instance, I can give you an example. Essex Free Library is in a community of about 11,000 people. It's a town, it's suburban and rural. It's no longer aligned with Essex Junction, which calls itself a city. So if I'm the librarian in Essex Free Library, I say, okay, do I qualify? What are the standards for judging me? Westford, obviously, would be rural. Deborah Rawson Library in Underhill, I would say, is obviously a rural library and things like that. But that's the challenge in doing this is making sure the definition is pretty clear.
Absolutely.
And did Congress give anything in the legislation when it appropriated the monies? If it did say rural, small rural, did Congress have any legislative history behind what they meant or Leahy meant or whatever?
I have to look up the exact wording. My recollection is that the communications that have come out of the senator's office have included the words small and rural, and that's certainly the intent that he was wanting for that. Our initial request may not have actually, my recollection is that our original request was not that specific, but that was the senator's intention.
Good luck. Thank you.
I have a question.
Maxie has her hand up.
I too want to congratulate you, Kathy, and the department because not only for the two grants, but also to combine the two, because I know how tedious and time consuming it is to prepare these grants. So combining the two is wonderful. Again, and I think I mentioned that in my comments yesterday to you, Kathy. If a small rural library has considerable support through private funds or the municipality compared to some other more poor communities, will that make a difference in the distribution?
I believe that the rubric that we develop will take into account the funding level available at the library. Okay. Particularly with the funds that are earmarked from the congressionally directed spending. That is that's really, I think, the intent of the funds. I am still learning more information about the congressionally directed spending, and it's not something that the state agency of administration has a lot of experience with. So we're learning about what we can factor in and what we need to factor in and what requirements there may be. Sometimes federal funds come with requirements for match, where you need 50-50 match. You need local funds 50% and the federal funds 50%. We need to find out all of the information about what is required. But the idea of these funds is to boost communities that don't have the resources on their own to support the projects as far as the congressionally directed spending. The capital projects funds, I do not believe there's any match required. And I think that both of these funds are stackable, meaning you could apply for a grant from us at the department, and you could combine it with a grant from another group, like on energy efficiency, or so you could potentially stack on top of each other different grant opportunities. So there are some things that we're still trying to figure out as we develop the application. We need a little bit more information. And with the US Treasury funds, we are actually still waiting for approval. I'm not aware of a state library that has received approval yet for their requests for those. They put through all of the broadband approvals and we all got excited thinking we got the money, but we hadn't gotten our proposal yet. So we are waiting for that. To my knowledge, they haven't come back with more questions. They're probably considering all of the community facilities plans, programs together, and trying to align them and develop some guidance for us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, exactly what time it is, but we need to go to the committee dealing with the board members. Hey, Google, what time is it?
11:50.
Yep, 11:50. So, yep. So, Maxie, Linda,
Yeah.
and
Debbie, Maxie, if it's okay, I'll just
Debbie,
sort of summarize what we've been doing. So Maxie and Debbie and I met almost right after our October meeting to talk about how we can build up the membership of this commission. And we started by writing up a job description, which was largely lifted from the job description of the commission that's on the website. And then we also made a list of qualities and characteristics of effective board members. We talked about, and then we talked about what resources we might use to find these people. Where we can go to advertise our need for commission members and how we can get the word out about them. We agreed that I would talk with Kathy about our ideas, and so I did that, and I had a very good conversation with Kathy. And she had already been in touch with a woman named Tracy DeLude. Do I have that name right, Kathy? Tracy DeLude, who's the appointments director for the governor. One of the questions we had is, whose responsibility is it to fill these commissions, these state commissions? Is it the job of the commissioners, or is it the job of the governor's office? And I think the answer to that is that it's really sort of both. But if a commission is getting ignored by the governor's office, then it sort of needs to take things into its own hands. So that's sort of what we're doing, I think. Anyway, Kathy and I came up with sort of a 4-step plan, and which both Debbie and Maxie agreed made some sense. Kathy's observation was that we really need to kind of advertise this opportunity, advertise it as an opportunity, by the way, an exciting opportunity to promote libraries in Vermont. But Kathy made the point that we need representatives from the whole state, and none of us individually probably has a good knowledge of people all over the state, so that we really do need to advertise our openings rather than just rely on our knowledge of appropriate commissioners. So anyway, Kathy agreed to consolidate our job description and our list of attributes for commissioners, and to pass that on to Tracy DeLude, again, of the who's appointments director for the governor, who will then put together an application. And that application will be put up on the Agency of Administration portal. We may also be able to put it up on other websites like the Vermont Bar Association, the Agency of Education, the Department of Human Resources, to publicize the opportunity. We can also put it out on the state library listserv to librarians, that goes out to librarians and other people interested in libraries in the state. And the working group on libraries is another resource to advertise with as well. And then we will need to, once we get applications, we will need to figure out how we're going to evaluate those, whether it will be one person, Tom, potentially, who evaluates those, well, whether we'll put together a small committee that would evaluate them. But anyway, we get applications. How do we decide which one, to whom we would offer positions? And then when we identify applicants we like, we would make a recommendation to the governor. So again, that process is we create an application, we put it out on several websites and the Agency of Administration. Then we evaluate the applicants, and let's hope they're applicants plural. And so we have some choice here. And then we make a recommendation to the governor's office through Tracy DeLude. So a couple of things that I'd love comments about that. A couple of things that we are going to need to decide is who's going to choose among those applicants. How are we going to make a selection among those applicants? Well, I guess that's the main thing that we need to decide as a group. Kathy?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for summarizing the information that came out of the subcommittee meeting. I did get some more clarification, Linda, about the processes on the governor's side. And from what I understand from Tracy DeLude, ultimately the appointment of board members is definitely the governor's responsibility, and it's his decision on who to appoint to boards. I also want to clarify something that I want to clarify a couple of things. Typically, I think that the department has the department kind of reminds the governor's office of the need to appoint board members. We had quite a lot of things going on over the summer, and I just want to say I did not reach out to them because we had so many irons in the fire and limited capacity at that time. And I was just learning about the processes. So I think in the future we could take the board and the department head could take a much more proactive approach to ensuring that we begin the process. And I think that the work that the subcommittee has done on developing the the notes that you shared, the things that will help us to develop an application. Once we have that as sort of a model, then it's very easy to say, okay, it's that time of year, we've got people rolling off, we put the application up and we are pretty comfortable with the application. So I think that in the future we'll be in a better position. I'll be in a better position. Future state librarians will be in a better position that we've got like a template, because I think in the past it was sort of more informal, but now they're finding that by using the DHR system and putting it up as a job posting, by sharing the opportunity far and wide, that is going to yield a bigger bunch of results that hopefully will have the diversity that the board is seeking. So I didn't yet consolidate the information because I thought it would be good to wait until the board talked about it. And then I can provide Tracy DeLude I hope I'm saying her name correctly, with an application. I did also connect for some, I gave some consideration, I guess, to what I would recommend as a way forward. I think with the applications, it's more of like it's similar to a job posting. And while there might be a way to have everybody on the board participate, I do think that that would start constituting an open meeting, or a meeting. And so typically it's not that strange for a commissioner and the chair of a board to review the applications together without appointing specific authority, just to review them and say, these look good to us, just as a consult to the governor's team. So I might recommend that because procedurally, I think it's going to be the simplest and the least kind of administratively complex. There could be an open meeting and the whole board gets the applications, and then we go into executive session potentially to review the applications and then come back out again. But it could be also just done in a more informal context. And that to me seems a little bit easier.
Kathy, that's great. Thank you for those comments. And I think I wanted to add as well that even though there is this application that will be developed and it will be posted in various locations, that doesn't preclude any of us recommending candidates. I got on this board because Debbie recommended me to Bruce. So it's not, I think that word of mouth kind of thing is certainly a very very useful source. And Maxie has a couple of people that she has in mind who she thinks would be good commissioners, and we will point them to the application process as well. And just to follow up on what you said at the end about, the chair of the board and maybe one commissioner reviewing the applications. Absolutely. You and I talked about that, Kathy. We don't want this to be an elaborate process, especially because we're just recommending somebody to the governor who makes the final decision in any case. So are there other questions that people have or other comments? Maxie, go ahead.
I have a comment. Again, I have allergies. I just want to say how much fun it was to be on the subcommittee with Linda and Deb. We really, we just had a good time. We were pretty serious about what we were doing, but we also...
Pretty serious.
Pretty serious.
Pretty serious.
And also, my task was to get, in quotation mark, a profile of the current board members. What an amazing group of people. What incredible backgrounds. And it was just, something, usually we sit at these meetings and we say, yes, Maxie Ewan's from Charlotte, or Linda from Weston. But do you have any idea what everybody's background is? It's just a great group of people.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question or comment? Yeah, first of all, I think reaching out to the appointments secretary or director for the governor is really, really a good idea. Having that communication open is worth it in and of itself. I was an afterthought when I was appointed. Jim Douglas was leaving office and they had a vacancy and they're trying to figure out up on the 5th floor who to do it. And his one of his chief advisors, Wibbs, McLean, said, why not Bruce? And he goes, why not Bruce? But that's how I got there. Tom was suggested by Scott Murphy, who had been the librarian in Milton and then was state librarian for a while. Tom suggested Adrian. A word of mouth is really important, but reaching out to the governor's appointments person is great. Governor Shumlin, his process was opaque and a real mess. When we made the shift to Governor Scott, we had vacancies. It was like tangled fish line. So having and having that communication is very good. In the last analysis, though, it is the governor's decision. And I think, though, advertising the position in such a way that it doesn't, it's more suggestive than sort of like, oh, if I don't have this stuff, I might not even apply. I think, but the advertising, getting the word out is really, really important. And I'm glad you're doing that. I think it's great. We got one guy appointed to the board. I had no idea where he came from. I'm not going to mention the name. I think he made one meeting and that was it. And then he was off. So I'd call that a clunker. Don't know how he even got involved, but I really encourage you. And I think you're working on two very good tracks. I made a contact with someone this morning. I'll hear back, see if they're interested, but I'm not going to mention names or anything, but I really appreciate this. And it is, again, I'll just reiterate, advertising, keeping it flexible, and working with the governor's office is really key. And you seem to be firing on all those cylinders. Thank you.
Thanks,
Very
Bruce.
good. Thank you. And we have two hands raised.
Debbie?
I just wanted to reiterate what Bruce has said, because he sort of stole my thunder there. But I agree that trying to keep, well, first of all, I commend everybody for doing this, because I think it's the best way to be doing this, and to try to identify the kinds of people that would make good board members is important. But I would also try to keep this as simple as possible. I would try also to make sure whatever application there is, as Bruce says, that it is suggestive, that it is like, it's not like joining another board where the board members are going to pick you and say, like, you're the one to go on. It's truly the governor's job, and we can provide him with information, but it's his choice. And I like it, keeping it really simple. I mean, I have no problem with the chair and the state librarian doing the vetting of the candidates. So that's my thought.
Yep.
Okay, we have another hand.
Yes. So I wanted to add on the important point that Kathy brought up, that also of the communicating through the DHHR website, like the job posting, having that in a written form, and that will be also useful not just for diversity and equity, and getting it out to a wide range of people, but also it's for consistency, that we're treating everyone with fairness, and then also there's transparency about what the board is seeking. And so I think that's also important documentation. So having that also, in addition to the word of mouth, other formats of acquiring people. So that was exciting to hear that we'll be in line with other groups that are in state government.
Very
Thanks,
good. Any other
Adrian.
hands?
Yeah, I have one more question, Kathy. There, so obviously Bruce and Debbie have already timed out, whatever the term is.
Over the hill.
They're right. Okay, good. And I was looking on the website for the terms of other commissioners and couldn't find it. So I wonder if we have a list of Maxie. I think you're going off this year, and I wonder, it would be really helpful to know how many were we. Clearly, that's potentially 3 commissioners that we need
right
to
there.
find, and how soon do we have to find yet even more? So I don't know where that list is.
I don't want to share it with you on the screen because it has all of your contact information, but I do have a board roster, and I updated it in September of 2022. So I think it's accurate. My sense is that Bruce's term expired 2/28, and so did Deb's of 2022. Maxie's term is about to expire on 2/28/2023, and my sense is that Maxie has served multiple terms, so can no longer be reappointed. Tom's term expires 2/28/2025. Adrian's term expires 2/28/2023, but my sense is that's Adrian's first term. So Adrian can be reappointed if Adrian is willing to do that.
Yeah, is that correct? I will to make sure that's not 2024. I will double check with what I have at home.
Yeah,
but
please do double check that. And then
whatever I have
Linda,
official.
I'm seeing Linda as 2/29/2024. And Linda, is that your first term?
Well, I started as, I think I was filling somebody else's unexpired term when I first came on. So
Which
yes,
doesn't count. Yeah.
it's my first and a half or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be
The
okay. You
first
could
half,
be,
yeah, doesn't count.
yeah. So what I think we'll do is that, and Gina, if you could do this as a next step, if you can confirm with each board member their date and which term they're on, because I think that that's really important information to be sure we're not replacing people before their term is up. The final person on the board is James Saunders, and I think this was James's first term, and that his first term expires on 2/28/2023. But we should confirm that with James as well.
Yeah, he and I are at the same time. So
Were you appointed to fill a vacancy or not? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
That's the key, because like Debbie and I were, I believe, I had, there were 3 years left on an unexpired term when I was appointed, and I think Debbie may have been appointed by Shumlin because it was a change in terms. So essentially, we were on for 11 years because you
Yeah, I
can't,
think they're unexpired terms because
you know,
the
you
term's
can't-
4 years.
yeah, you
And
can't serve
Adrian
more
and
than
James
2.
haven't been on for 4 years.
Yeah, you can't serve more than 2 4-year terms. And now because we're still on awaiting a replacement, we're going for a record, maybe, Debbie, 12 years, something like that.
Actually, I think the charter says 3 terms, no more than 3 terms.
Well, you'd have to look at the legislation.
It's the
Well,
legislation.
I thought I did, but okay.
Anyway, okay, that's good enough. They'll be working on it, and Gina, they need to look to see what the legislation. I think it's two 4-year terms, and you're banned.
Wait a
forever.
second, hang on.
What?
Well,
Got
as your secretary, I thought to print out the bylaws. So let me, especially since we have the elections today.
Yeah.
Term of office. Oh, no, hold on. That's term of office. Hang on.
Term of
That's
office
answering a
is
different
year.
question.
It's near the end of the, I think it's near the end, Kathy.
Agenda, voting quorum, parliamentary authority, appointment of committee.
Yeah, it's derived from the statute. You'd have to
It's
go
derived
back
from statute. So I think the statute, let me just look right now. It's on the statutes. I don't think it's in the bylaws. Hold on.
No.
It's in the statute, which is here. And at the time of appointment, blah, 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 thereafter, all appointments shall be for a term of 4 years. No person shall be appointed to the board for more than 2 full terms, consecutive or otherwise. So 2 4-year
Or otherwise,
terms.
yeah, 2 4-year.
But there is this caveat that, like, if you're filling in for somebody, you can be in a Bruce, like, in a Bruce situation.
Yeah.
A Bruce-like state, yes.
Yeah, Bruce-like state.
Trapped forever in ice on the board.
And you serve into your replacement is appointed. So,
yeah, that's the line before. The governor may appoint a member to replace any member of the board who dies or resigns to serve for the balance of the unexpired term of office. So you served that balance, Bruce, and then you did 2 full terms, and now you're in the continuing on the other end of the weirdness,
Right.
where, like, you haven't been, you can serve until somebody replaces you.
Been replaced. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got that settled, and then Gina and everybody will finish that out, and hopefully we'll get some people that are interested. Next thing, and I want to do one thing after this, and that's to see, do we want to change the thing about requiring, make it instead of suggest to shall, contact the Abenaki or the on Native American or whatever that commission is. Anyway, first of all, officers are up. We have 3. We have a chair, vice chair. That's it. We only have a chair and vice chair, right? That's it.
Maxie has a question.
Her hand up.
I don't have a question. I would like to propose the slate for office.
Okay.
And I would like to propose that Tom stays on as chair. And I'm asking Adrian if she would like to be vice chair.
I will do that because we need a vice chair, and I'll be happy to work with Tom.
I would like to appoint Kevin McCarthy.
Wait, we're supposed to do 15 votes. Hold on.
15 votes. We'll
I've
be
been
here
waiting.
for the next
I've been waiting to get that in there the whole meeting.
I go to bed before 11:30, so just.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to vote separately. So go ahead, Maxie. Do the chair.
I propose that Tom Frank stays as chair of the.
And then I have to stand down. Who's Maxie's vice chair. So that I'm out of this now. You're in charge, Maxie,
Okay.
as vice chair.
I just.
And I second.
Yep. Okay. So what do we do? All in favor?
And you have to ask if there are any other nominations, and then you can simply close, and then you can say the secretary can cast 1 vote for unanimous vote if that's the way it goes.
Are there any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Oh, I'll say aye. Why not? Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, Tom.
Okay. Condolences. Yes.
And thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And now I'm nominating Adrian as vice chair.
I'll second that nomination.
Give it to Linda. Yeah.
Okay.
Tom, you can do this.
Yeah, I move that nominations cease and the secretary casts 1 vote, unanimous vote for the board for Adrian.
There you go.
Oh, you have to vote on that and you say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Now, everybody voting for Adrian, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any negatives? Oh, you have to serve for 20 years if you vote against. Okay. So Adrian.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
I've decided I'm going to be on I'm got to check my schedule, my vacation schedule. So for the next couple of meetings, I can be on. So Adrian takes over. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Could you put out in advance, or maybe Kathy can, the meeting schedule for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, she does.
I'd be
But
happy to.
it's on the web. It's on the website, right?
Oh, is it already up?
Yeah, it's on the website. She was doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
for the
try to
whole
keep
year.
it updated on a rolling basis. So the 2023 meetings are all listed online
Okay.
currently.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Always on there. Now,
The next
only other
meeting
thing
is, sorry.
Yeah.
The next meeting is Tuesday, April 11th.
April 11th. Yep. Quarterly, the second Tuesday. Okay, I want to talk about just the thing. We've got a couple of minutes, as we said, big wait till 12:30. Do we want to say must contact for our procedure? Do we want to change it, or highly recommend, or if nothing else, at least put on the website where they can go to get that information?
If I can, as the secretary,
Sure.
just jump in. I think if we're gonna do a vote on some other topic, we probably should
We can't.
agendize it at a future meeting.
Yeah, okay, you're correct.
And I also was noticing for a future meeting that, so I would say, Tom, if you want to propose changes to the guidelines, I'm sorry, if you want to the procedures, the geographic naming procedures, if you want to have the board vote on those, I think we should put that on an upcoming agenda. And you could share that in advance, the language, so that everybody can think about it and see how they want to do that. I do notice that the bylaws have not been updated in quite a long time, since May 13th, 2014. And that just as our answering machines recently became a portal back in time due to some power outages in the area,
Yeah.
the bylaws refer to the Mid-State building as our location.
Mm-hmm.
And so there
I
is
saw
also a
that,
need to
yeah.
revise the bylaws to bring them, just small tweaks to bring them up to date. So that's something else that perhaps the leadership of the group would want to look at, the officers.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I would offer any services or participation if anybody wants it.
Very, very good. Okay, because we just need to log. Yeah, because I saw that Mid-State. What? Yeah. And to say that. Okay. Anything else to be brought in front of the board? We know when our next meeting is.
I have a quick comment.
Okay, Maxie.
I wanted to make a plug for Joplin's wife's new book, which is called Maple and Rosemary, and it's Allison James. And it's going to be published in February. And Joplin, in his own right, is a great environmentalist. Allison is a wonderful author, should be on every library shelf. And the book is called Maple and Rosemary. And it's whimsical and delightful and has great illustrations.
Is it a children's book?
It's a children's young adult. And very delightful.
Great.
Thank
you.
Let me throw in a little joke before we go. Ole and Lena stories, out there in the North Dakota prairie, and all these Norwegian farmers, and the ladies went to church and the husbands stayed home, Ole and Sven, and they left them do a little jigsaw puzzle. And when they got back, the guys were just jumping up and down. They were so happy. They got it done. And they said, well, why are you so excited about getting a jigsaw puzzle? Oh, it says right on the box, 1 to 4 years. They thought it would take 1 to 4 years. So there you go.
Yeah. Very, 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 very.
Oh, thank you, Bruce.
Maxie, call the Able Library and mention it to them, because probably going back and bought the equipment to record books. We have volunteers and they got nude so they can record it at home. So they can record the book, Vermont books.
I will do. Okay. Oops.
Okay, there's nothing else. Thank you all for coming. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Linda.
Non-debatable motion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You just stay and have fun.
Thank you, everyone.
I also learned that from a town meeting, that it's a
Yeah.
non-debatable motion.
Thank you
Bye, all.
all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate all your
everybody.
hard work and help.
Okay. See y'all later.